A Musical Life with Temple University's Music Preparatory Division. Temple University's Music Preparatory Division, or Temple Music Prep for short, is a program located in the heart of Center City, Philadelphia, that provides high-quality, non-credit music and dance instruction and related activities to the community on behalf of the Boyer College of Music and Dance and Temple University at large. Welcome to A Musical Life. I'm Hugh Sung. World-renowned violinists Sarah Chang and Elena Urioste, as well as several members of the Philadelphia Orchestra, share something in common. They were all participants of Temple Music Prep. I also started my own professional career right after graduating from Curtis as a theory teacher and chamber music coach at Temple Music Prep. To this day, I'm not sure who had more fun in my theory classes. The kids jumping up and down the shaving cream staff lines I painted on the floor, or the parents laughing outside my class. Anyway, I digress. This month, Temple Music Prep will be celebrating 30 years of excellence with a series of performances featuring students from their Center for Gifted Young Musicians, culminating in a gala concert on Saturday, May 13th, 7:30 p.m. at the Church of the Holy Trinity on Rittenhouse Square. I'll have a list of all the events in the show notes. Before we visit some of the amazing students and teachers at Temple Music Prep, I want to point out that Temple Music Prep provides quality music and dance instruction to everyone at all ages and ability levels, from their early childhood and Suzuki programs to adult classes and community ensembles. In fact, some of the students we will listen to started participating at Temple Music Prep when they were toddlers themselves. Let's start by listening to a performance of Temple Music Prep's Youth Chamber Orchestra playing a movement from Handel's Concerto Grosso in D major, Opus 6, number 5.
my name is Jason Vasiliou. I play the violin, and well, I'm 18 right now, and I've been in this program for like 14 years.
Wait a minute, you started when you were 4 years old?
Yeah, my sister was in this program first. She's 3 years older than me, and so, uh, yeah, I started taking lessons with a teacher here when I was 4, and then it just has like carried on basically.
That's amazing. So you've really started from the very, very earliest programs that they offer here.
Yes.
You're 18. I understand you have a very bright future, in part thanks to your participation here at Temple Music Prep. Tell us a little bit about what you're looking forward to.
Well, it's going to be very hard to decide, but I'm most certainly going to keep up my violin. I also compose music, and I do that pretty seriously as well. So I'm going to definitely keep those up, and I'm considering pursuing academic things as well through the Columbia Juilliard Exchange program, and then I'm also considering going to Princeton, and then taking private lessons. So that's on the table as well. I still have to decide.
So tell me a little bit about what have been some of the best benefits that you have received from your years, your many years here at Temple Music Prep.
I'd say that it's basically just seeing all the very, really good people here, because like at Temple, there's always been a lot of people who are absolutely amazing players and musicians, and so I find that it's the most beneficial thing is like watching them and playing with them and like seeing what they do and maybe what they do differently, and it actually helps you improve and get better. And so I always really liked that because it helped me get better too. So that's what I'd say it is, because everyone here is just very amazing.
My name is Chuck Parker. I'm the coordinator of chamber music for the Center for Gifted Young Musicians, and I've actually had that job since we started 30 years ago.
My goodness, wow.
When we started, it was when New School of Music merged with Temple University. And all of a sudden, we had an influx of incredibly talented children. And the director at that time, Nancy Hess, thought, now is the time to do something special. On our faculty, we had Orlando Cole, Yasha Brodsky, it was the Curtis String Quartet, and we are talking tradition. We are talking the basis of the Philadelphia sound, everything. So what we have tried to do in the 30 years is honor that tradition. We really stress chamber music as a foundation of playing skills, listening, interpreting, and loving music. That then goes on into the chamber orchestra in a larger sense, where one of the differences between the chamber orchestra and a symphony is you can be heard every single note you play while you're in a section, because there's usually 6 of you. And if one person's not playing well, it's very obvious which person it is. You can't hide in the back of a big section with all the trombones covering you. So it's a lot of basic skill building, steeped in the tradition of the music is what matters.
Forgive me. Taking the position of a parent who maybe has a child, maybe is thinking about getting them involved in music, who knows nothing about chamber music. What is chamber music? And because you've just alluded to why it's so important, but for many people, they don't even know what that is. What exactly is, they've heard of orchestras, but what exactly is chamber music?
I would say the real definition would be when you are playing a piece, one person on a part. So yes, it can be a string quartet, which are 4 different parts, 2 violins, 1 viola, 1 cello, but each person is playing a separate part. It can be 8 people, all 8 playing separate parts. That's the basic, to me, definition of chamber music, where you are part of a group, but you're an individual as well. And it takes a special skill because you do not have a conductor there showing you when to play. You have to listen, you have to watch, you have to react. And blend. Blend and then stick out when you're important and to know the difference and not always think that you're important. So it's team playing on a very minute basis, if that makes any sense.
It sure does. And I've actually heard the allusion that the study of chamber music is akin to the study of human society, community, and that great chamber music is an illustration of how society works so well together when it works, because you're listening, you're sensitive, you are supporting each other, and yet there are times that you have to lead, other times you have to follow, and everybody has to move in and out of those roles because, as you were just describing, in an orchestra, you'll have 10, 20 people all playing the same part, so you can kind of hide in there. But in chamber music, each person is vitally important.
Yeah, I love that illustration. I'll be using it from now on.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, tell me a little bit about why this program, what makes Temple Music Prep so vital to Philadelphia? Why should parents be considering their kids to come here? You know, if they're thinking, I don't want my kids to go into music, I don't want them to become professional musicians, what are some of the benefits of coming here anyway?
I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back too much, but we've maintained a standard. And yes, there are some other fine groups around, but our standard is the individual excellence of a student. The way you approach music could be the way you approach life, you approach any degree that you have. You can't just every Saturday think, oh, where's my instrument? I better go, pick it up and hope the strings are still on it and go into the program. You have to commit yourself. And so it's a discipline. It's an art and a discipline at the same time. And I think that's probably an extremely important issue on why to come here, why to study an instrument. It enriches your life. And I can't be happier when one of my students becomes a doctor and keeps playing quartets their whole life. I'm not saying you have to support yourself with music, but always you end up loving music. And that is so enriching.
And you've been just sharing a bit about the incredible standards, the focus, the discipline, the hard work, and the richness of music that really can only come as a result of the dedication of time and energy, even if you don't end up being a professional musician, and yet those same skills that we've been sharing bleed into every aspect of life, don't they?
Very much so.
So.
Yeah, and I actually feel sorry for some of the kids today because my life was so much easier. My academics were not nearly as stringent as, I see the kids today. My life was not so scheduled. Yes, I could fit in my time for practicing and still could run outside and play with my friends. And I'd do an hour and a half of homework at night. Now some of my students are up until 2 a.m. trying to get all of the academics done. The pressure is unbelievable on them. But one of my friends who was actually finishing up a PhD said he did his best practicing while writing the thesis because he would take a break from writing and just take out his violin and start playing. And it would refresh his mind. It would give him, all this extra new energy so he could go back and write again. And some of my college students, they say, I've got my exams coming up. I can't practice. And I say, yes, you can. Have the case open next to where you're studying. Every hour, stand up and play a scale. And they all said, wow, it worked. You know, it's not trying to do everything perfectly. It's scheduling a little bit of time to keep the skills going. It's don't think, oh, I don't have an hour. It's not worth it. It always is. And so budgeting time is going to be a skill for your whole life. And I mean, I'm still working on that. There are times when I think, uh-oh, I never got to that today, did I? So
if I'm hearing you correctly, it sounds like Temple Music Prep really prepares the whole person. It's not, it is music, but music is only just a vessel, a vehicle
right.
that gives these people of all ages, you know, from the youngest to even the adults who come through the program, it gives them incredible new perspectives and tools to make their lives richer.
That's the way I see it. And also just the fact that because we do really stress the chamber music aspect, that's a responsibility. You are, going back to your town, your group, it's if you aren't pulling your weight, the whole group sinks. And so you have to make the effort for the good of the others. There. It's such a nice way to put it.
My name is Isaiah. I play the cello, and I've been at Temple Music Prep for 14 years now, so since I was 4 years old.
You're the second person that's told me that they've been here since they were 4. That's incredible. Tell me about why you've stayed with this program for so long.
Well, for me, I think the thing that is most special about Music Prep is really the people, both the students and the incredible faculty. I've made some of my best friends here at Music Prep over the past years, and I've also met some of my greatest mentors, people including Mrs. Watts, Mr. Parker, Mr. Picht, Mr. Biava, and even the Jasper Quartet. These people have really almost launched my musical career and really just taught me some key musical ideas that I use to this day. So
I wonder if you could tell us a little bit about your teachers. I was just speaking with Mr. Parker, and he was talking about really the level of excellence. You know, there are programs for young children, even for adults, but there is also this core program of excellence. I'm wondering if you could maybe share just a few thoughts or your experiences in terms of the standards that are they very demanding? I mean, how did the teachers express that to you?
yes, the level here is very high. The teachers are amazing, and I think it goes beyond just saying like practice and do this, but at Music Prep, I think we really get at like this is like just incredible music that it's not just about rehearsal, but it's really about like thinking and putting time and going deeper into the music than just the surface level. And I think that idea has kind of brought this program to like another level.
What have been some of your favorite activities in your time here at Temple Music Prep?
Well, definitely when we went to Iceland, that was 2 years ago. That was an incredible experience, and we're going again this summer.
Wow.
And it was just awesome getting to know the Icelandic kids, as well as being able to perform at the Harp Music Festival, as well as just other venues. That was a really incredible experience.
Wow.
My name is Grace. My daughter is Christy Chang. She's playing violin in the Youth Chamber Orchestra.
Can you tell me how you found out about Temple Music Prep?
Well, actually, it's a very interesting story. I went to look for a violin in a shop called Katz Violin, and the owner over there shared her experience. Her two kids joined the Temple Music Prep and had a wonderful experience. So that's how I found out about Temple Music Prep.
Fantastic. How long has your daughter been attending?
Since she's 8, so now she's 14, so I guess 6 years from now. Yeah.
Wow. What brings you to bring her back every year after year? Why does she keep coming back? What is it that you really enjoyed about Temple Music Prep for your daughter?
I think the music quality, the teachers, the conductor here are all amazing, and she's grown so much from when she first started the orchestra, she doesn't even know how to read the music that well. And the first rehearsal, I even remember she couldn't join in because she was afraid. She doesn't know when to come in. But Temple is like a big family. There's her STEM partner, teacher, was sitting, watching the rehearsal. So she joined in and tried to help her at the very first rehearsal. So she felt, wow, this is amazing. I could play with everybody. So she started like that. And every year she learned and she grew and she met many, many different teachers that help her in music and theory and everything. So she really thinks Temple is the place for her.
Oh, that's wonderful. Now, I understand that you went with the orchestra to Iceland when they went last year to perform.
Right.
What inspired you to take that trip with your daughter? I mean, obviously, to be with your daughter is wonderful, but that's a long way to go.
Well, she was the youngest member for the Youth Chamber Orchestra, so I was a little bit concerned, not sure, she would, do well and live in the host family. That's a different experience. She never, left home alone. So I figured it would be a great experience for me to see Iceland myself and also hear, her play internationally in the Harp International Music Festival. And it's truly amazing.
And the orchestra, I understand, the Temple Music Prep Orchestra is going back again.
Yeah, this is wonderful. We're so happy that we got invited back.
What does an international performance, an international trip, what does that do for your daughter? It sounds like so many wonderful things. What do you think your daughter is gaining from this incredible experience?
I think meeting different kids from different country, and even though they don't speak the same language, but they could communicate through music, and I think that's fantastic. That's amazing. They share their same interests. They share their feeling about pieces that they play, and that unite them together. I think that's a wonderful experience for her.
What would you recommend for parents that are not sure if they want to commit the time to bring their children to a weekend program like Temple Music Prep? If they're already so busy with maybe soccer or ballet or karate, what would you say to encourage those parents to seriously consider what are the best benefits that you think that those parents should think about for their children by bringing them to Temple Music Prep?
I think tempo is the place not just for music. I think it also educate you for other things as well. I think for your social gathering, like how they could meet different people from different places and share their interests at the same place. I think that's very important for them to grow as a better person. Yeah, and I think music is very important because for kids to learn music, they'll appreciate when they grow up.
What do you think they're going to appreciate from their music experience?
I think music has many different things, like the story behind how the composer create the piece, and the history behind. I think there's a lot of things that you could learn and explore besides just playing it.
You had mentioned that first experience your daughter had in the orchestra where she was a little nervous. How has your daughter grown in the years that you've seen her attend? What are some of the most interesting ways that you think your daughter has developed?
Well, I think definitely confidence. Yeah, that confidence definitely develop in tempo, while she's studying here, from not knowing what to do and becoming the concertmaster for one of the orchestra in the later years, and that giving her a lot of recognition and making her feel like she's very confident in music, that she could do something that she's good at.
Wonderful.
Let's do just the last two part. From the end, it's 5, 6, 7, 8.
Hi, my name is Manajay Picard, and I teach harp here at Temple Music Prep. I direct the Temple Music Prep Harp Ensemble, and I also offer private lessons here. I got started here about a year ago when I moved out here from Kansas City, and I got started here during the fall, so I've only been here almost a year. Temple Music Prep is a great program, especially for young harpists looking for an opportunity to play in an ensemble. So many students lack ensemble experience with playing the harp unless they play in an orchestra, and usually it's only one harpist. So by playing in a harp ensemble, it gives a lot of young performers an opportunity to be in an ensemble setting and also work on chamber pieces together too.
What are the benefits of ensemble work? Because I honestly don't know of many how should we say, career ensembles in harp? Or are there? Maybe I'm just out of the harp world.
There actually are a few professional careers with playing in an ensemble. The Chicago Harp Quartet is one of the big touring harp ensembles. A lot of universities, bigger harp programs will have harp ensembles. I know BYU in Utah, they have a huge harp ensemble in their harp program, as well as there's a few other schools, Arizona. But benefits of the harp ensemble playing, besides giving a student ensemble experience, especially for a harpist, they're not going to play in choir typically unless they sing in choir. In band, if their band director is interested in them, they might play a part with the band, but they're never fully in an ensemble setting like everybody else is. And so the reason why I like the harp ensemble program here, it gives those students an opportunity to play at their instruments together, as well as following a conductor, as well as building that peer experience and those peer relationships that are important.
What are some of the things that you've enjoyed the most about your time here at Temple Music Prep?
I've enjoyed many things. The thing I think I've enjoyed the most is when I receive feedback from a parent or student on how they feel the ensemble has helped their student or developed them. And sometimes, you know, you can receive the opposite. The music is challenging. However, one student came up to me and felt like she said she'd grown a lot. And this only was a few weeks ago. So for me, that was huge. The music was hard, but she felt like she learned a lot this year. And those were her words.
How old does a harpist need to be to start lessons?
To start lessons, that opinion may vary teacher to teacher. I know for me, usually about 4th grade, that's a good age to start. I have seen younger. If the interest is there, I don't like to hold back. A student that strongly desires to start at the instrument, then that might be an exception. But that's about the age I like to start a student.
Now, is there only one size harp? I mean, for the piano, of course, we have one size piano. And if a young child, they're going to be working on that instrument and have to grow into it. Of course, their feet can't always reach the pedals, but they can at least start on the keys within a limited range. For very, very young harp students, do they have to start on, is there only one standard size harp, or are there actually smaller sizes for younger hands?
There are many sizes of different harps, and usually most harpists start on a lever harp or lever harp instead of the pedals on the instrument. And the lever harps vary in size, and some of them, 34 strings is about average. You can get up to 40 on a lever harp.
So I'm sorry, help us understand the difference between, I'm not sure most people realize, the harp is not just plucked with the fingers. You see all these strings, you see the hands moving, but many people don't also realize that professional harps also have a lot of foot pedals. But tell us a little bit about the lever harp. What's the difference between that and the foot pedals, and what do these levers and pedals all do?
The levers and pedals all do our accidentals on the instrument.
So they change the pitch of each string.
Yes. And so on a lever harp, for example, middle C, if I wanted a C sharp, I would move the lever up. With
your hand?
With my hand,
Okay.
and it would only move that one C or C4.
Gotcha.
And if I had a pedal harp, I would move my pedal into the sharp slot, and then it changes all my C's on the strings, not just the one C. So a pedal harp allows you to change all the accidentals on all the C's or all the F's, etc., whereas the lever harp is going to be individual. So it can be limiting, but it's a great starter instrument because it takes some time to develop your note reading, your technique, your rhythm. All those fundamentals can be developed at a lever harp.
And you guys do such an amazing job of making this incredible footwork seem so effortless and elegant looking. I don't know how you guys do it.
Practice.
With the last of the 8th notes, that note always gets a little bit cheated, or else it sounds softer than the other notes. Okay? Shh. Let's do it again. 3, 4. Can you, those 4 notes, please try a little bit more crescendo. Each one of these, a little bit more movement. 3, 4.
My name is Aaron Picht, and I'm the conductor of the Youth Chamber Orchestra and the Baroque Players at Temple Music Prep.
Can you tell me a little bit of how you got started with the Temple Music Prep program?
I moved to Philadelphia in 2002, and my wife joined the Philadelphia Orchestra that year. And I knew David Booth, who was a second violinist in the orchestra. And I was looking for some opportunities to do some teaching, and David thought I might be right for Temple Music Prep. So he contacted Nancy Hess on my behalf, and I started teaching violin lessons at Temple Music Prep way back in 2003. A few years later, I started conducting the Children's Violin Ensemble, which was a group of very talented small children, ages 7, 8, and 9. And a few years after that, I started conducting the Youth Chamber Orchestra as its resident conductor. And Luis Biava was the longtime conductor of the group. And when he retired from prep in 2015, I became the conductor of the Youth Chamber Orchestra. So I've been at prep for many years and have had the great pleasure of working with these immensely talented kids.
What makes a program like Temple Music Prep so necessary for the Philadelphia community?
Well, Philadelphia has a long and heralded musical tradition, and there are many, many very gifted children in the Delaware Valley that need a program that offers this kind of nurturing and this kind of excellence. I think in any musical culture, you have an oral tradition that passes down the way things are done. And so when Orlando Cole was here, when Jascha Brodsky was here, Luis Biava, Helen Qualwasser, they all represent links to the musical past that they're passing on to young people. And I think that's still going on today. The Philadelphia Orchestra people who coach chamber music, the Jasper String Quartet, Chuck Parker, who's the chamber music coordinator, studied with Ivan Galamian. Some of my mentors were George Nykrug, Joseph Silverstein, Walter Trampler, Eugene Lehner. And it's our duty, I guess, to pass on what was given to us. And the opportunity to be able to play music at really high levels, to play chamber music, to play orchestras, or to play in an orchestra, to participate in cultural exchanges like the one we have with the Sigersveins Tonskóli in Reykjavik, Iceland. Or for many years, Luis Biava took the Youth Chamber Orchestra to Puerto Rico for an exchange. So those sorts of opportunities make it a magnet for gifted string players.
What have you found most rewarding about your time here? You've been here for many, many years. What have you found? What are some of the things that you found most personally and musically rewarding?
Well, I've come to the conclusion that there's nothing better than the combination of kids and music. Kids are pure, they're open, they're flexible. Music is beautiful, and if you put those two beautiful things together, you just get something extraordinary. And I also think that when you're 16 or 17 years old, those high school kids bring a certain kind of emotional intensity or freshness or something unique to that specific time of life that you might not get later on. And so I think it's a special time of life too. And I've never, I think that these kids, especially the kids in the Youth Chamber Orchestra, play with a certain emotional intensity that it's unique. Adults don't do what they do. And I find that to be very exciting. And it's also, like as I mentioned before, it's really great to be able to pass along what's been given to me and to pass that along to them.
I know a number of the people who have grown up in the Temple Music Prep program have gone on to professional careers in music. But to be honest, it's a relatively small percentage of them will have professional musical careers. So for those who come and participate in these activities and who don't go into music or don't have a desire to go professionally into music, could you talk a little bit about what are the general benefits? Why come to a program like this? If you're, I don't want to be a professional violinist, I don't want to go into an orchestra, why would I want to participate?
Well, I think studying music is part of a humanist education, and I think that the arts make you a complete person. Whether you know, regardless of what profession you choose to pursue, having an arts background or a music background in particular makes you, in my estimation, a balanced whole human. In my ideal world, everybody plays an instrument or sings or participates in some sort of amateur chamber music. And so I think it's part of a humanist education.
Can you help me to understand your definition of balance? What does that mean? What kind of a balance are we looking at?
Well, I think a balance is somebody who's read Jane Austen or Dostoevsky and has played a Mozart viola quintet and knows something about art and is well-rounded. And I would include theater and language. And in this day and age where specialty is perhaps overemphasized and zero-sum contests and athletics are overemphasized and children are increasingly lost in the digital world, having opportunities such as exist at Temple Music Prep where you're allowed to fuse with Haydn and Beethoven and Mozart, and to climb those musical Himalayas for the first time with some experienced guides is an experience that you never forget, and it shapes your life.
So second violin, be careful at 119, okay? You're the transition. That's it, that's you. Let's go back and get it. 115. 115.
My name is Mark Huxall. I'm the director of Temple University Music Prep for short.
And tell me a little bit about what this program actually does.
This program is the non-credit community outreach of Temple University and specifically of the Boyer College of Music and Dance. We provide music and dance instruction for anyone in the community who wants to participate. So we have a wide range of ages and backgrounds coming to us for instruction. We have our early childhood music foundations, which begins with infants. We have numerous classes for children along the way, and we provide lessons in all of the common orchestral instruments and guitar and piano and voice. And we provide ensembles for very serious-minded string musicians. We also have a very large program that meets on the Temple University main campus, which is called the Community Music Scholars Program, providing accessible music instruction for students from specifically from Philadelphia who might not be able to afford it otherwise.
Now, it's interesting you were mentioning some of the early childhood programs, but this, and of course there's a focus on the younger students, but this quite literally is a cradle to grave service. You actually provide lessons to quite literally anybody of any age. Can you talk a little bit about the other programs that are perhaps not as much in the limelight, particularly for the adult learners who are interested in picking up an instrument?
Certainly. Well, musical interests don't have to be limited by any kind of age range. So we do have the infant classes, but we also have folks who maybe played an instrument but put it down to raise a family and have a career and now would like to get back to it. Folks who always wanted to but didn't have the chance, and folks who participated along the way but want to do it just a little bit better than they do. So we do have a number of adults studying piano, voice, instruments here. We also have classes for adults to make a kind of a social interaction and an introduction or reintroduction to studying either piano, voice, or guitar. And we call those classes for busy adults: piano for busy adults, voice for busy, singing for busy adults, and guitar for busy adults.
Which is wonderful because especially as this school, this program is located right in the heart of Center City, a lot of very stressed out workers can start to learn and appreciate the stress relieving benefits of having music in their lives, not just to listen to, but to actively practice. And that would be a tremendous benefit, I would imagine, for a lot of the folks who work right in this vicinity.
Yes, it's very nice because there are a number of folks who, before getting on a train or getting in their car to go home after work, can come and take a lesson. We also have a number of people who spend their lunch hours coming over to practice in preparation for their lessons because they can make use of that time and because we're accessible to the Philadelphia business community.
Now, getting back to the younger students, of course, this is open to all levels. Is that correct? It's not limited to just a select few. Anybody can come in and learn, or is that?
No, our instructions cover from first learning how to hold an instrument to preparing for competitions and potential career and college and conservatory auditions.
You've had some very illustrious alums of this program that have gone on to do some major things in music as careers. Can you perhaps share some of the stories of some of the folks that have gone through the program, that have gone on to become professional musicians?
Well, certainly. Probably our most famous alumni is violinist Sarah Chang, who was here as a small child and, of course, rose to a great prominence at a very young age. There's also folks all along the way. There are several members of the Philadelphia Orchestra who studied here throughout their high school and earlier times and went on to conservatories, to Curtis or to other institutions. We also are bringing back some of those folks for our gala concert this coming May. Violinist Elena Urioste and violist Paul Laraya, for instance, both are Sphinx competition winners. They weren't here quite at the same time, but we're bringing them together to play together. And we thought that was interesting to have alums who not only were from the program, but were from were winners of the Sphinx competition, which is a very special honor. We also have one of the earliest members of our Center for Gifted Young Musicians and a tremendous orchestral player, Ellen De Pasquale, who performed as assistant concertmaster of the Cleveland Orchestra and the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, and now resides in New York. And we have one of our most recent graduates who actually studied with Ellen's father, Robert De Pasquale, and they will be also playing together on this concert.
That is fantastic. Can you spend a few moments and give us a brief history? How did this program come to be? What were some of what was the genesis story of this program coming out of Temple University's Boyer College of Music and Dance?
The actual origin of Music Prep was through a community music program, which now exists as the Community Music Scholars Program, created by Temple University to address the needs of students in Philadelphia, particularly seeing that the very well-known Philadelphia public school music program was starting to lose some of the support due to finances, etc. So in 1968, that program was created to address that need, but also to make sure that students studying at the university were preparing to be good teachers and were familiar with what the needs were when they left for their careers, particularly as school music teachers. It also enabled these kids from Philadelphia to access kind of the cutting edge developments in curricula and such at the university, while giving them an economic way to giving the community students an economic way to study instrumental music. As the program grew, more and more people were attracted to come in and participate in different ways, particularly in lessons and particularly in the early childhood music program at Music Prep. And in 1986, the New School of Music, which was a very terrific conservatory run in Philadelphia and was directed by and founded and directed by the members of the Curtis String Quartet, merged with Temple University and brought its high level of string musicianship across the board into supplement what was going on already at the College of Music at Temple. I believe at that time was when it became the Boyer College of Music and Dance, endowed and such. With it came the pre-college program that existed at the New School of Music, and it merged with the Music Prep program here. And my predecessor, Nancy Hess, and some others recognized that there was this collection of very, very strong string musicians coming together, particularly because of the influence of the members of the Curtis Quartet teaching here, and some of the Philadelphia Orchestra members teaching here. And she determined to create a program of chamber music and chamber orchestras for these children, for these students to be part of, so that they could have a real strong peer support network and develop together and develop those skills beyond the very high level of lessons that they were experiencing at that time. So that program came together. Nancy really was very prescient, I think, to know that she really had to have somebody special to lead the youth chamber orchestra, and she sought out Luis Biava, who was then the principal second violinist of the Philadelphia Orchestra, and also developing quite a conducting career himself at that time. She persuaded him that if she made sure that the students were of a high level and were of the best, that it would be worth his while to come conduct. And so they started with a very small group of these students, and it's grown to, at this time now, 3 different levels of chamber orchestra, with the youth chamber orchestra as our most advanced. And associated with those orchestras are about somewhere around 20 chamber music groups that are consisted of those students. So the students receive on Saturday afternoons coachings and orchestra rehearsals from famous and well-known Philadelphia musicians.
It's interesting. Growing up, I had touch points on the New School of Music. It was a place where I received early ear training and theory training, and that helped me to jump 2 college levels of music theory and skipped out of music training altogether because it was so good when I entered Curtis at the age of 13. So I was jumping into college level theory, second year theory, thanks to the New School of Music. And of course, I knew Orlando Cole, the famed cello teacher, cellist at the Curtis Quartet, and Yasha Brodsky, who was the teacher of Hilary Hahn. And it was this touch point through New School, and then hearing that they merged with Temple. And then, of course, Temple, several years after that, right after I had graduated from Curtis, Nancy had hired me to teach music theory of all things, as well as coach some chamber music. But back then, you were on Walnut Street, I believe.
Yes.
And then now you've moved to a new location. Can you tell us a little bit about the physical history? Where has the program been located? Has it always been in the Center City area, or was it originally at the main campus up in North Broad Street?
To my understanding, and I may be a little unclear about this, but the original program was the community program, which did take place in Presser Hall on the main campus. But as Temple developed a Center City presence, which originally was on Walnut Street and actually was on 2 different sides of Walnut Street, shifted at some point, it was recognized that the downtown location might be convenient for a number of people as the train service and the crossing of the subways, etc., made it possible. Also, the proximity on Walnut Street to the Rittenhouse Square area, the residents of that area, made it very workable in and around the Temple Center City campus. In 2000, Temple moved from Walnut Street to our facility at 1515 Market Street, right across from City Hall, and occupied the 2nd through 6th floors and a little bit of the 1st floor and a specific Temple entrance as the Temple Center City campus. So all of music prep came here with a senior citizen program, then called the Temple Association for Retired Persons, and Temple already was offering quite a number of different courses that might appeal to the business people, or in some cases as an extra location for work that went on at the main campus. But the music prep program stayed intact and moved here at the same time as the rest of the Temple Center City programs.
Mark, would you mind commenting or just sharing your thoughts on what the future looks like for music prep?
Well, we want to keep educating young people. We like to say that we like to offer access, equity, and excellence in our programs. And that means that we are open to embrace whomever wants to come for whatever they need, as far as it's something that we're able to provide, to be very equitable in how we deliver it. But sometimes excellence often means, reaching the highest level. And in some people's cases, it's more what is the highest level per their goals and what is it they need. So we do see students who come who just want to sit in a higher chair in their school orchestra. Or we see adults, sometimes we've had adults who want to take voice lessons because they want to be able to sing for a specific event. Or one time a father who wanted to learn to sing for his daughter's wedding so he could sing a song. But we also try to make sure when we identify students who are really highly motivated and are really seeking to reach that, I hate to say competitive, but that competitive range, then we want to be able to provide whatever it is that student needs. So in some students' case, it's a weekly lesson that supports what they do in their school program and in their band. Some students, it's a class that provides music theory or provides some reinforcement to what they're doing. And some students are looking for guidance to put them at the highest level so that they can potentially pursue a career in music.
And just briefly, if I forgot to ask this earlier, what genres of music does the music prep program provide or teach for the community?
We primarily focus on what most people refer to as classical music, or also we do have a number of jazz offerings that happen here. But those are the two we focused on. I think partly, some of the more contemporary popular forms of music have a certain amount of equipment and instrument demands and technology demands that we're not quite set up for. And I think our desire is that what we do, we want to be able to do well. So we just felt that those genres maybe we weren't in a position based on our facility and what we have at our disposal at this time to move onward. One of the things we'd love to see, though, would be to develop, along with a very rapidly growing music technology program at the college, we would like to see our abilities maybe to connect with those pieces, because the technology really has moved beyond so many of us. When I was in college, it was get somebody with a reel-to-reel recorder and some good microphones and be in a decent room, and then it moved on, through cassettes and through digital tape, and finally now our students are sometimes recording on their iPhone something that sounds like it was recorded almost semi-professionally, etc. And we see that in some of the sophisticated equipment that our parents bring to record their students. We haven't gone there yet, but are always trying to keep an eye out for an opportunity to move forward.
Mark, thank you so much for sharing about this wonderful program and its history and its future. I wish you all the best.
Great. Thank you, Hugh, and thanks for being with us today.
For links to Temple Music Prep's website and Facebook page, as well as a list of their upcoming performances this month celebrating their 30 years of excellence, visit the show notes at amusicallife.com. While you're there, be sure to sign up for our newsletter to get the latest updates on future episodes. You can also subscribe to A Musical Life through iTunes or with your favorite podcast playing app and get new episodes automatically downloaded onto your smartphone, tablet, or computer. If you enjoy these stories about making music and the things that move our souls, please tell a friend about this show and consider posting a short review on iTunes at amusicallife.com/review. Thank you for your support. Until next time, I'm Hugh Sung, and I wish you a musical life.